Hey guys, it's Prince Rich with Rich Technology Group, and in today's video, I'm going to tell you guys why free PBX isn't actually free. So, this one is a bit in depth. I'm going to try to stick to my notes the best as possible so we can keep this video as brief as I can, but we got a lot of points to cover here. In the past week and for months, I have gotten many calls of people that are like, hey Prince, I know that you represent a lot of VoIP providers that charge a monthly fee, but I want to adopt free PBX. What's your opinion? Because it's absolutely free and I don't want a monthly fee. The truth is, and I hate to bust you guys' bubble that are watching this, even though it's called free PBX, it's not actually free. And we're going to talk about why, and we're going to break this bad boy down into nuts and bolts so you can understand why, in my opinion, I still think hosted voice over IP service is still your best bet. It may not be the best for everybody, but we're going to break this down, we're going to keep it constructive, and then you decide. So, first of all, let's see here. Let me see here. Oh, one of the reasons I decided to do this video, I totally forgot about that. One of the people that called me this week was actually a school. Sounded like a very large school. I don't know if it was public or private, but this guy had just a ton of extensions. I want to say over 100. And he had multiple issues. I mean, just a plethora of issues after talking to this person. Multiple hardware changes that he had made that were hard to backtrack. And I mean, he was in over his head. He was asking me if I could assist, and I told him, no, I don't do that. You know, I told him, you need to get a seasoned IT professional to get out there and help you with this, which obviously is not going to be free, which is one of the reasons we're going to talk about why free PBX isn't free. So, anyways, he's not the first person that has contacted me and gotten completely up creek without a paddle with free PBX, or not gotten completely up creek, but I've had lots of people, you guys, that have called me that adopted free PBX, and then like 6 months later, they called and said, you know what, I give up. Just hook me up with something like an Nextiva or a Vonage or a Ring Central or whatever, so that I don't have to deal with this. Your time is not free. Even though it's not costing you anything, your time still is cost something. So anywho, we're going to get into some points here, and I'm going to explain why free PBX isn't free. Number one, SIP trunks or PRI are needed. There is this big, we'll say, misnomer or notion that if you own your PBX, i.e. free PBX, you own your phones, you own your switch, you own your router, you just have no monthly cost. There's just no cost associated. You just have free phone service, like maybe what they have in heaven or in Utopia or something like that. That's not true. You still have to have something that connects to this phone system to get out. Typically with a free PBX or PBX of any sort, whether it's on-premise or hybrid, you have to have SIP trunks or a PRI. That costs a monthly fee because it is a service that connects to your voice over IP phone system for you to get out and do things like dial toll-free numbers, dial area code numbers, dial 911 or 411 or things like that. That has a monthly fee attached. The funny thing is, not always, but most of the time, because we sell SIP trunks and PRI also at Rich Technology Group. I represent all of those carriers. You can get an extension for a hosted voice over IP for about the same price or most times cheaper than what you can get SIP trunks or PRI for. So in short, what I'm trying to say is the idea that there's just no monthly cost, it's not true. There's always a monthly cost attached somehow, some way, with the type of service. It's no different than when people come to me and they say, hey Prince, I use Google Voice because it's free. It doesn't cost me anything to have the service. Yes, it does, because you have to have a cell phone that you pay a cell phone service provider that you pay a monthly fee to have the backbone, the infrastructure, the platform to run Google Voice on. So it still costs you something. Let's see here. Okay, point number two. Hardware costs can be very costly. As I just mentioned, this guy actually, you know what? Let's back it up. When you have a hosted voice over IP phone service or system, or we'll say service, through say a Vonage or an Nextiva or Ring Central, an OnSIP, an 8x8, a Zoom phone, the list goes on and on. Part of what you're paying for, the monthly fee that you're paying for, is they have all that stuff in their cloud. They have the big giant server that is handling all of your simultaneous calls at once. The big giant servers that hold your recordings if you're using call recording service. The big giant servers that handle the ability for you and your staff to be on 30 calls at once or have music on hold and things like that, or auto attendant or call queue or automated routing. When you're using something like a free PBX and not a hosted system, guess what? You have to own, which is costly and expensive, the hardware and servers that store all of that data. You also have to own the switches and the routers that manage all of the huge amounts of traffic for that data. And guess what else? You have to maintain that. That's not free. You're talking equipment that can cost thousands of dollars, if not tens of thousands of dollars, or if you're a bigger operation that's watching this, like a public school, private school, government entity, or just a large call center or privately owned business, hundreds of thousands of dollars of equipment that you have to own and maintain. It's not free. When you pay the monthly fee, which in most cases for most businesses is very small in comparison to owning all of this equipment, you don't have to deal with all that. All you have to deal with, like what you see behind me here, is have a phone, which most of these carriers will give you for free, and have Cat 5 wires that go through your walls like every business has and goes back to a switch or router, and just have internet, and that's it. Your hosted provider will maintain all of that equipment that nobody, not even me, wants to own, purchase, or maintain. So that's one big thing is hardware cost. If you're doing any sort of free PBX or PBX or on-premise in general, it can be very costly. Point number 3, and this is our final point, and then we're going to go into some other things here. If you are using free PBX or any type of on-premise PBX that is not hosted in the cloud, guess what else you don't get, which is one of the most valuable things that you get from paying a monthly fee to a hosted provider. You don't get support. You don't get customer service. You don't get customer service during business hours. You don't get technical support during business hours. You don't get somebody at a technical support or customer service that will log in remotely into your business phone system to see why you're missing calls, why you're getting static or call breakup, why your auto attendant is not routing calls correctly, or why your staff's transfers or whatever it may be are failing and things like that. You are tech support because you are not paying a monthly fee to somebody like a Vonage or a Nextiva or a Ring Central or an 8x8 or TalkDesk or whoever it is. You're not paying to get any support from anybody. So you are that tech support. If you're somebody who is not technically savvy or not an IT professional, I think you're nuts if you go with something like a free PBX. If you are an IT professional or somebody who's got, a lot of experience with voice over IP management and hardware, my question for you is, how much is your time worth? Is your time worth whatever you're being paid, salary or whatever it is, messing around with that stuff when you could have it all in the cloud and you could go to doing other stuff like managing the computers or the network for the company that you work for or that you own? That's a really big thing. Everything has a cost is basically what I'm trying to say here. And free PBX is not free. I get calls from people all the time, every month, that are, oh my God, I'm up the creek on this. And I ask them, how much is your time worth? Anywho, really quick, let me see here. Back to our points here. In conclusion, is free PBX right for you? As I just mentioned, if you're a seasoned IT professional and you've got a ton of time on your hands and you've got the experience and the knowledge to manage something like this, it might be. There might be some savings in it for you. If you feel that free PBX is for you, give me a shout. Most of you may not know, but I have a direct partnership with VoIP Supply, and those guys are actually part of the sister company of Sangoma. Sangoma Technologies is actually the company that created free PBX and is the patent holder for the software. For those of you who aren't aware, you've probably seen, I've talked about Sangoma and SwitchVox in a lot of my videos. I literally am sitting next to a box full of Sangoma phones, and Sangoma phones work just fine with the free PBX platform. Not only does it work great with the free PBX platform, I know the guys and the engineers that develop and maintain this software, Sangoma SwitchVox software, as well as free PBX. I'm more than happy to hook you up with those guys, and they'll tell you if free PBX makes sense for your scenario or not. And then if you decide it does, you're talking to the guys that are the patent holders of the phones that are designed, manufactured, and programmed to work directly with free PBX, Sangoma. If they determine that free PBX kind of fits your needs, but you need something that has a little bit more support, they also have a product and a platform which we work with and are partnered up with the guys over at Sangoma for, called Switchvox. Switchvox is basically a more solidified version of free PBX that has more or less the same features, but you pay a small hosted monthly fee to be able to get all of the things that you like in the free PBX platform, but a little more solid and with the backing and the full support of the guys over at Sangoma. So if you don't know whether free PBX or Sangoma is a good fit, and maybe you want to look at something that is just a purely hosted solution like the ones I mentioned, like Vonage, Nextiva, RingCentral, whatever, I represent all of these guys. Give me a shout. Let's talk for about 25 to 35 minutes about your business so I can learn more about your scenario, and then I'll be able to tell you if I think free PBX or a fully hosted solution is going to be a better fit for you. Again, I represent all of these carriers and can help you figure out which direction makes the most sense for you or not, so I don't really have any incentive to send you in one direction or the other. Anyways, if you found this video helpful, like this video, subscribe to our channel. We upload new videos every week. If you need my help, again, my services are free. I'll advise you best I can on what I think makes the most sense for your business. Prince Rich, your go-to guy for the best deals on business phone and internet service in the United States. I'll catch you guys again in the next video.